My name is Shawn Clark, and I'm here to talk to you about schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is a brain disease that leads back as far as ancient Egyptian times when they had a book called the Book of Hearts, which described diseases such as schizophrenia. It described the same symptoms today of schizophrenia back then. But back then, they didn't know what schizophrenia was and they didn't know why people were acting like that. So their thought was that they were being possessed by demons. So what they would do is they would play ritual songs to these people to try and release the demons from their body, and they would even go as far as drilling into their heads to try and release the demons from their mind. Now, after numerous studies and tests in 1887, Dr. Emil Kraepelin, a German psychiatrist, actually diagnosed the first case of schizophrenia, but he actually had called it dementia praecox. Dementia praecox just means that it was an early form of chronic dementia, but uh, he actually thought it was since he saw that people were having brain deterioration from this disease that it was automatically dementia, but or a form of dementia. But later on in 1911, Dr. Eugene Bleuler actually discovered that it was not dementia because not every person that had this disease showed signs of brain deterioration. So what he thought was, okay, since it's not dementia and it's not brain deterioration, he decided to call it schizophrenia, which comes from two Greek words, schizo meaning split and phrene meaning mind. So split mind, hence the split voices in their head and such. Now that we've gone over the history, we'll go over the causes, effects, and symptoms. The symptoms of schizophrenia, they include delusions, hallucinations, disorganized behavior, disorganized speech, rapid pacing. The causes of schizophrenia, they are not quite known yet. They are currently doing studies on whether this disease is caused by genes from parents. They're determining whether it's caused by chemical defects in the brain as they're growing up. They are also looking at abnormalities in the brain that may develop while growing up throughout their life. But currently, there's no solid studies to prove that that any of this evidence is, in fact, a possibility for one of these causes. Now, the effects of schizophrenia, there's positive and negative effects. Positive effects are what doesn't negatively affect their body. So positive effects include hallucinations and delusions, such as seeing people that aren't there and hearing people that aren't there, just hearing voices in their head. They can have as many, even up to 2 or 3 voices in their head at one time talking to them. Now the negative effects, these include negative body effects such as there's a lack of emotion, apathy, there's social anxiety, there's a lack of motivation, they're really drawn from society. Um, so these are all the side effects and causes and symptoms. Now after like after schizophrenia is diagnosed, the treatment methods today are a lot more adequate than what they were back in the ancient Egyptian times. So back then, as I talked about before, they had they were playing ritual songs and they were also drilling into people's heads to try and release demons. But today they know that it's not demons; that it's actually a brain disease. So what they've done today, or what they've done recently, is they've come out with medications and personal methods for these people to kind of cope with this disease because there's absolutely no cure for it yet. So they have 2 types of medications. They have typical antipsychotics and atypical antipsychotics. Now, typical antipsychotics, they are not used as frequently because they can develop a disease that can actually cause them to have tics, almost like Tourette's. They have involuntary muscle spasms over a long period of time after taking these. Now, the atypical antipsychotics are the newer medications that have come out. Now there's still side effects, but they're not as bad as the typical ones are. The atypical side effects include just anxiety, pacing, weight gain, but as compared to the typical antipsychotics, they had side effects such as that disease developing, which is pretty impactful part on someone's life. Now, aside from medications, what people can also do with this disease is they can also have personal methods to kind of control their symptoms or help to cope with them. So they can eat well in diet that'll help their balance their blood sugar levels, because the blood sugar levels actually affects a something in their brain that causes their hallucinations to actually flare up even more, and the they can also manage their stress levels, so they're not as stressed out, and they can also exercise. They need to get plenty of sleep, because these medications can actually make them really drowsy, and not getting sleep will affect them greatly if they uh, decide to not get enough sleep. Um, but these are all the symptoms, the history, and the treatment methods for schizophrenia that they have today. Now, schizophrenia is a brain disease that is not brain deteriorating, although it can lead to it. They have treatment methods today, but it's not curable. But this was a speech about schizophrenia, and thank you for listening.